Hello and welcome to this presentation on the I like to be more empathetic, exploring refugee and resident perspectives on game design to foster empathy for refugees. My name is Ameneh Safari, and before begin I would like to thank all of my co-authors. Without them this work would not have been possible. Let's first consider why empathy matters. Refugee situations have become a global crisis impacting both refugees and host communities. Refugees face challenges such as marginalization and cultural misunderstanding. On the other hand, host residents may struggle to relate to refugee experiences due to limited exposure or awareness. Bridging this empathy gap is crucial for enhancing social cohesion, supporting integration, and building inclusive and diverse communities. In this regard, serious games such as We the Refugees, Ticket to Europe, Path Out, Papers, Please, and Bury Me, My Love try to serve as an approach to addressing this issue and promoting empathy for refugees. However, a key challenge lies in the limited attention to the nuanced perspective of specific groups. It is essential to explore differences in engagement in order to design games that effectively foster empathy across diverse audiences. So this study aims to fill the gap by exploring two research questions. What is the experience of refugees and residents playing specific games designed to elicit empathy toward the refugees? And what key game elements have the most impact on eliciting empathy from the player's perspective? To address these research questions, we developed a study where both refugees and non-refugees play two empathy games. First, we conduct a semi-structured interview with 6 refugees, participants from Afghanistan, Ukraine, Iran, and Syria. Each played two empathy-focused games, Path Out and Bury Me, My Love, and afterward we interviewed them individually to capture their experiences. Then we organized a focus group with 5 German residents without refugee or migration background. They also played the same two games, followed by a group discussion to reflect on their impression. We conducted thematic analysis to identify key themes and patterns. The initial codebook was informed by the circular model of empathy and the MDA framework and was iteratively refined by 2 researchers using abductive coding. Finding of this study organized by 3 main themes including initial engagement, emotional resonance, and acting. I will explain each theme in the following slides using diagrams to illustrate their details and how they related to the game elements. Initial engagement as a first theme examines how participants engage with the game during the initial stages of empathy, which include observing, interpreting, and imagining. The steps interact with various game mechanics, while the size of the sphere indicate which game mechanics was mentioned more or less often. Observing is the first step where players notice characters, NPC actions, narrative, and so on. You can see the game elements related to observing. In this step, refugees recognize a familiar dynamic and residents analyze design and narrative cues. Interpreting is the second step where players connect observed events to emotions, trust, danger, and cultural identity. Developer commentary videos in Path Out, for example, enhance a meaning and emotional resonance. In the third step, a divide emerged in how players imagine themselves in the characters' shoes. Residents without direct refugee experiences engaged in hypothetical reflection and asked themselves, what would I do in this situation? In contrast, refugees describe a personal imagination where the character felt like a smaller version of themselves. The second theme, emotional resonance, examines how participants engage with the game during the second phase of the circular model of empathy, which includes perspective taking, feeling, and understanding. In the perspective taking step, residents use imaginative simulation, projecting themselves into characters, but refugees drew on memory directly linked in game tasks to lived war experiences. In feeling step, both groups experience fear, anxiety, guilt, and frustration. Moreover, some mechanics like commentary videos and uncertain decision amplified discomfort. Both groups reached understanding, but through different paths. Refugees emphasized moral responsibility, which means they wanted to protect characters. On the other hand, residents treated choices as interpretive play rather than responsibility. In theme 3, and known as acting, residents wanted to more agency and interactivity, like using maps or clickable objects. However, refugees wanted to send more emotional support, for example, longer text or family dynamics. Moreover, limited player agency often caused frustration. Our study showed the refugees and residents both experienced different level of empathy, but not in the same way. Residents often lacked emotional connection due to missing background. These two groups experience games through different lenses. Moreover, players want more than to observe. They crave the ability to actively help, and this insight should guide future game design. If you have any question or would like to discuss further, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email. Thank you.